The South African State Theatre is in association with Masai Sepuru, and they proudly present his latest project, a trilogy exploring existentialism, free will, redemption and the celebration of South African homelands. Masai Sepuru is a multifaceted artist, director and poet and alumni of the State Theatre's Incubator program. He showcases his creative growth and artistic vision in this highly anticipated trilogy, and he joins us now this morning to talk about his poetry as part of this trilogy. Masai, very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, man, on your latest project. Do you want to share some inspiration behind it and what really prompted you to take up the call by the State Theatre to exhibit?
It's actually the other way around. The State Theatre sort of took interest in me because I've been in and around the theatre for maybe a couple of years now, participating and creating some of my works there. And they wanted to celebrate that because they see that I am a multidisciplinary artist, and they want to see how we could put all of that and sort of in a celebratory way. So it's a collection of poetry and art and poetry and everything put together,
I mean, how do you put together all those narratives in one project?
I suppose as an artist, you already have like a string, you know, of storytelling, whether it's through painting, poetry, and plays. There's a sort of a common story that you're telling, willingly or unwillingly, and you figure out that and you put it together with a collection of teams and very willing artists. I have a great team, and I'm very grateful for them. So that helps. You know, I'm not a one-man show. I am one of many people that you know are responsible for this. Though my name might be on the poster, but there's 20 artists that are involved in this project, and we all, you know, they all helped me to put this trilogy up.
So when you say, you know, there's other artists involved, what is their role in this particular project?
Well, because,
do they have their name and imprints in this particular project, or are they just helping you out?
No, because I am a playwright. As a playwright, I have to find directors. Or some of my plays I direct myself. I have actors as well that are also involved as set designers. I have stage managers. I have graphic designers. And then when it comes to the exhibition, I have curators. I have, you know, other designers as well. And when it comes to the poetry, I have lighting designers, I have costume designers. So it's a company of people that, you know, help to put this together. Obviously, the idea, the initial inception of them, they come through me, and those are sort of the project that I mastered up. But, you know, it's not the hubris to say that I'm the one responsible for everything. I think everybody helped to actualize those ideas. And,
I did mention in the intro that, you know, this trilogy is exploring existentialism, free will, and the celebration of South African homelands. So how do those themes intersect in your work? How do they find expression?
I think I'm someone who deals mostly with big concepts, and when you're sort of dealing with the concept of people and dealing with South African history and South African black people and South African contemporary, you are sort of forced to deal with those big concepts like existentialism and like homelands and what are the implications of all of those things when you put them together. You cannot easily just go through with them like they are like a pedestrian conversation. I think they are quite complex conversations when you're speaking of existentialism and free will and you know, the homelands, and there's so much that to unpack because they all exist in a different context, whether it's in a painting, whether it's a poetry, whether it's a play. So different plays explore different parts of that.
And I see that your poetry is a very powerful medium for storytelling. Just take us through your writing process.
My writing process is a lot of conversations. I'm big on conversations. I talk a lot about the things that I am exploring. I talk with my colleagues, I talk with my friends, I talk with whoever is willing to engage, because I do not want to come off as, you know, preachy, or, you know, if I'm curious about something, I will spend months conversing and having conversations about that particular thing before it even manifests into a poem. And then the writing part of it, you know, it's actually for me a lot quicker because it has existed within me and within my world for maybe several months, just through conversation and through interrogation and research and other stuff. You know, I enjoy it because it's sort of like painting with words, you know, sort of putting metaphors and similes together and sort of mixing art, paints together. I don't know, my mind sort of works in that way because I practice in different mediums. So I sometimes paint with words and sometimes write with paint. So it works that way.
Take me through that. How do you paint with words and write with paint?
I think they speak with me. They have specifically colors and paints. They have a certain language that they communicate with, how they mix, how they refuse to mix, how some colors cannot be mixed with others, and how some colors cannot be mixed at all. You know, and all of that has a story, you know, within itself. And when you try to apply that as a metaphor to reality, and you see how other things and suppose can be, to get to a specific place you have to mix other things, you know, so that helps, you know, and that also bleeds into the poetry, that bleeds into the plays bleeds into the painting bleeds into the poetry, and then it's a whole cycle that of creativity that I have to explore. And it's a very interesting thing being a multidisciplinary artist, because you have all these access and you have all the privilege of it's almost unfair to other artists because you could do multiple things, but obviously it comes with its own shortcomings. But I love it and enjoy, you know, doing them all.
And having said that, how do you then weave together poetry, performance, direction, you know, to create an explosive and immersive experience?
I think the beautiful part about that is that theatre already allows that. Naturally, theatre is a space, especially like a big play, already allows all of those things to exist, whether it's poetry, because playwright, it has an element of poetry when you're writing plays, and when you're designing a set, it is an element of painting, because you're a scenic painter. I'm also a scenic painter. There's an element of painting in it that is also involved. Of course it's poetry, of course it's theatre, there's an element of performance also involved. So theatre already, by its nature, allows a multidisciplinary artist like me to thrive within that space, because in its core, it is a space where everything branches out from, whether it's poetry, whether it's music, whether it's acting, whether it's even what we're doing now could also exist in a theatrical space. So it allows that. It allows for me to sort of explore myself to the fullest. So it's not so much that it's unique that something that I'm doing. I think it's already there and it's already the requirements. I'm just privileged enough to can wear multiple hats. But other artists, if they're just playwrights, they would have another scenic painter, they would have a performer, they would have, you know, other people. But I have the privilege to do multiple things. Obviously, I can't do them all.
Of course,
and I do have hands and hire people. And I've worked with great, amazing artists like Sello Ramulatlwane, James Sotole, Siambonga Mdubeki. These are familiar names to the people watching. They're on different soapies and across the country. So I've worked with them, and and multiple directors like Isana Lemvula Maseko. So it's a collective of people that helped me.
And you know, you and I have been chatting about existentialism and as well as you know, free will and redemption. And by all means, these are universal themes. So how then do you make them relatable to the South African context?
Those specifically themes are explored in a play called The Tragedy of Samuel Omunye. The Tragedy of Samuel Omunye explores African history and African contemporary and Africa's future, but on the level of philosophy and science. Because in science and philosophy, there is this theory of hard determinism. Hard determinism implies that everything that has happened thus far throughout the history of humankind, in fact, throughout the history of civilization, has been because of hard determinism. Like, there isn't any particular free will. Everything happens because it's supposed to happen that way. Everything happened because of some type of a causality. You know, I'm here because someone called me to be here, and you are here because, you know, you applied, you went to school. So everything leads up to this moment. And that sort of take away your free will, that there's nothing me or you could have done about it but to be here at this very moment. And when I learned about this through a scientific way, I took interest in it because I was wondering what are the implications in terms of Africa's history if everything was supposed to be, because we have a very troubling and very painful history. So scientifically, what that means is that we're supposed to go through that.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. And we need, yeah, I know, right?
It's all right, it's all right.
Like we needed more time. I needed to pick
it's quite a complex play, but I enjoy it, yeah.
Okay, but share more details, just briefly.
Yeah, but now I'm having a different one. It was just a poetry showcase that's happening now at the South African State Theatre called Dark Magic. We're staging it, the last one, at 3 p.m. today at the South African State Theatre.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great chatting to you, man. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
me. All right,
me.
Masai Sepuru there talking to us about his inspiring vision and creative process with us today. We look forward to experiencing his poetry and continued success.